What's going on, guys? Magnolia Mo here, and welcome back to my channel. One of the questions that I often get regarding the Fosiaudio BT30D or the BT20A or any desktop amplifier is how to connect a subwoofer, right? And so that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to show you how to connect a subwoofer with these little desktop amps and turn your desktop 2-channel setup into a kick-ass 2.1 setup. You will need a 3.5 millimeter to RCA. That's the first thing. And then you need some speaker wire, preferably already terminated into banana plugs to make it simple and easy. So I got a pair of these over here. And then you also need RCA cables to connect into an external DAC, like I have right here. It is the Yulong Dart D39 DAC that I'm going to use for signal processing. And then the signal from the DAC goes in here using the RCA. So then you need a pair of speakers. I'm using the Martin Logan Motion 4s here and a subwoofer. I'm going to use the Martin Logan Dynamo Foundation 10, which is compact and it's perfect for a 2.1 desktop setup. All right, so here is the back of the Fosiaudio BT30D Pro. I'm gonna make my connections. So the first one is your left speaker. It's gonna go into the left speaker terminal right there. And the other end goes into the left speaker right here. You have to make sure the polarity is correct. So red and black, or if you're gonna have it switched, make sure it's switched the other way too. And then for the right speaker, I'm gonna go again, right speaker on the Fosiaudio into the right speaker here. Okay, so that's done. So we got the Fosiaudio connected to the speakers now. Now we take the 3.5 millimeter to RCA, right? Connect one end of the 3.5. As you can see right here, in here. Then the other end goes into the left and right of the sub. Then you have your low pass filter, right? Which right now I have it on full bypass, meaning everything from the amp is going in here, which means I'm not cutting off your low frequencies at a specific frequency point, right? I'm basically sending everything 120 hertz and above. This can actually go easily to 300 hertz, so it's going through the sub. What I will do and what I recommend you do is play some familiar music and then adjust the low pass filter to your liking. The other thing that I prefer doing is I use the lowest frequency that the speaker can play, right? So you can check on the manufacturer's website or in your user manual. So these Martin Logans, the Motion 4s, they have a rated frequency down to 70 hertz plus or minus 3 dB. Okay, which means I can comfortably cross over the sub, not at 80, but a full octave above that, around 90 hertz to 100 hertz, right? So I'll start with the full bypass, but then I might dial it back down to about 100 hertz or so, okay? But that's all to be decided when I play some music, and that's the next step. So that's the first configuration, okay? Which is using the 3.5 millimeter output of the Fosiaudio. The second configuration, if your subwoofer does not have RCA inputs, is you can use the speaker level inputs on the sub and use that as the connection with the Fosiaudio BT30D Pro or any other desktop amplifier that does not have a dedicated RCA or an LFE input. You can use the speaker level output from the Fosiaudio or any other desktop amplifier and connect the speaker level output from the Fosiaudio into the speaker level input of your subwoofer. In fairness, I'm not going to use the Martin Logan Grotto 15 with the Fosiaudio BT BT30D Pro or any other desktop amplifiers. It's just not a fair connection to make. I'm just showing that as a possibility and as a configuration option. So now that the subwoofer is all hooked up and ready to go, the next step is to actually fine tune and adjust the crossovers for nice and smooth and even bass, right? You have three options, right? As I mentioned, the first option would be to listen to familiar music and then adjust the crossover and the volume on the sub to your liking, right? That's not an exact science. It could be something that you can do just to get started. The second option is to check your user manual for your speakers and find out what the lowest frequency is that the speaker can output, right? So the plus minus 3 dB point of your speaker. So in the case of the Martin Logans, the plus minus 3 dB, as I mentioned earlier, is 70 hertz. So find out what that frequency is and then set the crossover on the sub to a full octave above that frequency, right? So in the case of the Martin Logan Motion Force, I prefer 100 hertz. Third option is to go to Tidal, Spotify, whatever music service you have, and look for subwoofer test frequency tracks, right? And then you can play those test tones. You can even go to YouTube, and there are some videos on YouTube around the subwoofer crossover frequencies. Basically, they just play the frequencies, and you can use this handy dandy device right here. It's the old analog SPL meter, and essentially when you're playing those test tones through your speakers, you got to make sure that the SPL doesn't drop by 20 dBs, at a specific bass frequency, right? So for the Martin Logans, it's what's going to happen is you'll see some variations. It'll be high and low, but not significantly 10 dB or lower at any frequency until it reaches the 100 hertz frequency, and that's when you'll start to see a gradual roll off using an SPL, where it's just gonna not be at that 75 dB mark. It'll just keep rolling off, and that's that frequency that you need to cross over. What I prefer doing is I just use REW with the volume set as 75 dB. The minus 3 dB point is around 105 hertz, and that is basically what I was talking about, right? Like, so you can generally kind of do the full octave above your crossover limit. So for the low pass filter setting on the Martin Logan Foundation 10, I have it set at 100 hertz, right? And that is where the subwoofer will pick up. As you can see right here, there's no significant drop off, and it just continues to rise, right? And you have a nice, smooth, frequency response. Without the sub, it's just falling off drastically, after that 100 hertz. But with the sub, maintain that low frequency. And this is no EQ, by the way, right? So this looks pretty good to me, from a no EQ standpoint. That, in a nutshell, is how you go about integrating a sub with your speakers with a small desktop amplifier. Now that everything is set up, it's time to enjoy music. Leave me some feedback, your thoughts about this video. Have you actually set up your small desktop amplifiers with a subwoofer? Once I integrated the Martin Logan with my desktop setup, the bass is powerful. I can listen to music, I can enjoy music much more than what I was able to do before. Even though this is near field and you don't necessarily need a sub, but if you have a sub, man, it just sounds that much better. All right, so as usual, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.